And that is a really difficult thing to tell. Can you tell the difference between those two things? So you need to be sort of very rigorous in your self-analysis. I think certainly extremely tenacious. So when you create a company, I mean, if you think, well, what is a company really? A company is a group of people gathered together to create a product or service, and that's really all a company is. And so you have to really believe in what you're creating, and that it's and know in your heart and mind that this is something that matters, that and that the world ought to have. And I think it's important to investors to show that you're all in. And I think, for example, with Tesla, the fact that I invested all the money I had, literally I had to borrow money from friends to pay the rent in 2008. The fact that I was all in, I think, made a huge difference to investors, to convince them to invest in Tesla at the same time that say GM and Chrysler were going bankrupt. Yeah, I did that at both SpaceX and Tesla. I think that's really fundamental. And then when you hire people, or really what you're trying to do when you hire people, that just means you're convincing people to join you in the endeavor. You should hire people that are also passionate about what you're doing. So it's not just that they're not just there for the salary. They really need to care about what they're doing, and then they will stay during the dark times. I think you could either work at a company in those arenas, or say, okay, what's some important piece of the puzzle in rockets or cars or something, and then put together a group of people and figure out how to make that piece of the puzzle super good. And that's like that's the way to do it. Starting a company is a very tough thing. You should certainly expect that it is going to be very hard. It's going to be harder than getting a job somewhere by a pretty good margin. And the odds of you losing the money that you've invested or your friends have invested is pretty high. I mean, those are just the basic facts. If you don't mind things being really hard and high risk, then starting a company is a good idea. Otherwise, it's probably unwise, and will certainly stress you out. So I think you have to be pretty driven to make it happen. Otherwise, you will just make yourself miserable. And then in creating a company, say how do you make the best product or service possible? Companies that don't make good products or services just shouldn't exist. I think that's just pretty logical. So I actually just don't care about motivation. I just give it everything I've got, irrespective of what the circumstances may be. You just keep going and get it done. I think my life would be very unbalanced by most people's definition, since I work quite a lot, I probably put in sort of between 80 and 100 hours a week of work, which is a lot, and then most of my remaining waking hours are spent with my kids. So that's my life. Probably I have a really high intrinsic drive. Yeah, I can just get really sort of set on something, and then I just kind of am able to keep going in that direction. Certainly I'd invite you to apply for a job at SolarCity or Tesla or SpaceX. And if not, then if that doesn't work for whatever reason, then I guess apply to jobs at other companies in that arena, or try starting a company. Although I have to say that in the space business is quite hard to start a company in the space business because it's such a capital-intensive business. So it may be better to do something in solar power, or if you're going to do it in cars, do it as kind of a component supplier for cars or something like that.